Morning, Bakersfield and surrounding communities. Everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for, my friend.
Oh, we've got another jam-packed show. Of course, we got to get into the crazy way that the Week 5 NFL week wrapped up last night. Obviously, the Dodgers and Brewers in a big command. We'll get into some baseball news, preview today's game, and then our boy 24KG will join us at 8 o'clock talking all things wrestling. And we have more Bakersfield Brunch Fest tickets to give away. You can call or text in anytime throughout the show at 661-842-2000. And sometime during the show, we've got to get in, at least make our guesses on what this big LeBron announcement is at 9 a.m. this morning. Of course, it's right after our show, so we'll see what it is.
I hear rumor that it's just him opening another one of those schools that he has opened a couple around Ohio, which if that's the case, fantastic. His philanthropy work continues, as we all know. But is there a bad, am I bad for praying, hoping that it's him saying I'm moving on from the Lakers?
Yeah.
Just please.
I mean, he says it's the decision of all decisions.
Last time we got that, he was moving on from Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I'm just at a part of me is just like, please, God, just take him away from LA. Please
step away from NBA basketball so I can get into business with the Las Vegas expansion team.
And honestly, Spark, you're moving into something there, Spark, and that's going to happen sooner rather than later. I'm going to tell you right now. But
I know our boy Kyle Pitzer's like, please come back to Miami.
At this point, I mean, if we could find a good contract solution, I'd say come back to Cleveland. But at the same time, that ain't gonna happen. It's way too much. Go away, LeBron. Way too much money. But NBA basketball is right around the corner. We'll get to that when we get to that. As preseason actually kicked off yesterday. I almost called him Cooper Cup. Cooper Flag. I almost called him Cooper Rush. God, there's so many Coopers in sports now. Cooper Flag had his preseason debut yesterday, and it was a little. It was fun to watch at least. Nothing too flashy, but then again, it's preseason basketball. We'll get to all things basketball when we can. There's actually updates all around the world of football, though, that we have to get to, including Mark Sanchez. Yesterday, we told you he was only getting slapped with misdemeanors. He got slapped with a felony right after the show was done.
Now the videos came out, the audio.
And the story is dumber than I actually let you know yesterday.
It just gets dumber.
It gets dumber and dumber every day. So I can't wait to get into that. And we will finally get into this Kyren Lacy situation, let you know the updates on that. I ended the show with it yesterday, but there's way too much going on that I have to explain. But let's start with the game you saw last night, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Somehow, some way, outplaying the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of this game. And again, not without some question marks during the game, because again, at the end of the first half, I was scratching my head with Jacksonville down, trying to at least get a field goal, and your head coach doesn't even take the time out to give you an extra play. And people wonder why I'm not a fan of Liam Cohen.
He's a jack.
He is not smart. Like, I'm sorry. Like, he's not. And what annoyed me the most was the post game. You going on the post game saying everybody's got to say it now. Everybody's got to do the Duval chant out. You need to be moving on from that clip, sir. That is not a clip that told everybody that that's our guy. You need to
step away.
Bury that.
Just step away from the mic.
Regardless, Trevor Lawrence, although I still stand by my statement, still a little bit of regression there, led his team past Kansas City and his Patrick Mahomes led team. 2 rushing touchdowns that honestly were ballsy plays for him to step up and make. Gotta love seeing that from your starting quarterback. But what were your thoughts with the Jags pulling this off and now tying themselves atop of the AFC South?
I mean, that defense is tough, dude. We've been saying it. And, that crazy play at the end where he stumbled, fell, tripped over his guy, and then picked himself up. And it looked like Chris Jones has just give up halfway through that play. I'm like, they're just going to let these Jaguars win.
At this point, I mean, what do you do, though? So the entire second half, Chris Jones is on the sideline trying to get into his defense, tell everybody, let's go, let's step up, let's get this done. and they continuously kept making mistakes. Travis Hunter had a breakout game for himself, to be completely fair. There was a lot of really great plays from him on the offensive side of the ball. But even then, there were, I think 2 or 3 of those plays should not have been made. There were wide open field tackles by multiple defenders that just get missed. So I don't blame him for being frustrated with the way they lost. And honestly, that pick six, the 99-yarder, that was the dagger. When Pat lost that ball, threw it right to the corner, and he took it back, I knew right then and there, I was like, oh, this game's over.
Yep.
Kansas City just got popped in the mouth, and we're right back to weeks 1 and 2. And mind you, this is now the 3rd game this year that the Kansas City Chiefs have lost within a score, lowest in all of the NFL. Everybody's at least won one this week, which is the wild part about this too. We talked about this last week about how every team now is a threat to come back at the end of games. It's no longer any given Sunday. It's any given fourth quarter, as we keep hearing all around ESPN.
It's gritty.
It really is.
It's gritty. And one thing that really just stands out to me is all these missed tackles all over the NFL, not just this game, but I see it every game. I'm seeing all sorts of missed tackles. I don't know if it's the lack of practice or the just lack of concentration or the way that the league is changed into, certain tackles are illegal, blah, 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 blah. Right. But I'm seeing it in every game I watch.
Easy answer, I think, would be that they don't let these guys practice like they used to. Right? You don't get the same practice with pads. You don't get the same pop reps, all that type of stuff. And John Gruden has been one of the biggest outcrying critics of that in the last couple months. But it really can't boil down to that, though, if you're a professional. You know what I mean? Like, although I agree you need the reps and the repetition to be able to make these tackles in open field and do it on a consistent basis, you're still a professional football player. And the basic part of football, forgive me if I'm wrong, tackling. The number one thing that every football player should be able to do, every single one of you, even the quarterback and the kicker, tackle somebody.
It just reminds me of playing Madden with somebody that hasn't played and they just dive all over the place.
Hit stick 24/7 because they think that's the way to tackle. It's not.
Like, wrap up, man.
That's what I'm saying. And I agree with you. Maybe that the rule changes to the way you're able to tackle, the way the form tackling has changed. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just because they're not allowed to really put their head through the chest of the running back anymore. But at the same time, like I said, this is the most fundamental part of your game, especially if you're a defensive player, but really across the board as a football player. If you cannot tackle, you cannot play football. And I even count that for linemen. If you're a lineman and you can't tackle somebody, or if you can't get physical with somebody, you can't play football. I'm sorry. It's just not your game. Go find something else. Go play baseball. Go play basketball where it's just a little bit less physical. But missed tackles, regardless of how many practices you have, preseason, postseason, doesn't matter.
You're supposed to be a professional.
Exactly. It's not acceptable.
And it's just wild that, we're sitting 5 weeks in and the Colts, Jaguars, and the Bills are all 4-1.
Well, the Bills we kind of expected.
Yeah, but I mean, the Colts and Jaguars are
those two
are the ones running with them.
I mean, again, you can go back and listen to our AFC South breakdown. We, not only I, but Sparky agreed with me as well. This is probably going to be one of the weakest divisions in football. And they're making us look stupid and calling us liars. And that's fine. I'm probably one of the only people on radio that you'll actually hear every single day say he's happy he's wrong. Because that's part of sports, baby. I love being wrong.
I like the competition.
I love being wrong. But at the same time, can't say I ever saw this coming whatsoever. But when you really look, I was kind of thinking about it last night while watching this game. When it comes to the Jaguars, at least, the Jags really weren't a bad team 2 years ago. Now, last year they went 4-13, if I'm not mistaken, or 4-12. And were awful. We all realize that. But the year before that, they were fighting for a playoff spot, barely missed. The year before that was the year they had the 5-game win streak, ended up losing to the Chargers in the first round of the playoffs. So they've been competitive in the most recent past. So really, is this Liam Cohen just finding that team again? Or is this the team just bouncing back from a bad year?
Or do you think this is just a good start? Because I don't see either one of those two teams being a threat later in the season.
You talk about the Colts and the Jags?
Colts and Jaguars.
See, I
don't think so.
Jaguars, I'll agree with you. I'm not 100% sold if this is a good team or not yet. I have to see what else we get. Really, they've only played teams like Carolina, Cincinnati, an injury-riddled San Francisco team, and this Chiefs team. Oh, and Houston. But Houston, again, has been playing lower than low right now.
Right.
So if you really want to boil it down, I agree with you. They're not exactly somebody that I could say is a great team. And Trevor Lawrence is still yet to throw for over 300 yards. And he's just not the quarterback that I remember watching. Although, again, took over this game yesterday, and both quarterbacks I have to highlight as well, not only led their teams in passing yards, but rushing yards.
Rushing too.
That's wild to me, but that's also an indictment on both teams' run game. So at the end of it, we look at the next couple weeks for the Jaguars, though. They're at home against Seattle. Then they're off to London to play the LA Rams. Then they have a bye week, and then they play Las Vegas in Las Vegas. So this could be a good start, and it could continue, if I'm being honest. Seattle is a very competitive team, so we'll see how that wraps up along with the Rams. But after that bye week, you got a handful of games there that you can win, because not only do you go to Vegas, then you go to Houston, then you play the Chargers at home, Arizona in Arizona, Tennessee in Tennessee. All of these games are winnable, especially for a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's riding high. So you might be right. Maybe this is just a good start that's going to compile here in the first half of the season, potentially get them into a playoff spot, and then we'll see how real they really are. But
that's why the NFL is the best.
Yeah,
you never know any given game, and I'm looking forward to the next 5 games, because this is just the predictions and what we're expecting. We're always going to get some curveballs and some changes, and I'm excited. I think a lot of these teams that are starting out fresh and hot, I think we're going to find out how serious these teams are in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
And honestly, teams like Kansas City, who are trying to claw themselves back into relevance, the question marks are just as damning on that side. There are moments where I feel like this offense has figured it out again, and they're rolling and they're looking good. And there are moments where I'm just like, what are y'all doing? How is Patrick supposed to work with this? I mean, I keep saying it, but can anybody name a wide receiver that looks better on this team than Juju Smith-Schuster? And that's saying something. Hollywood, who did play yesterday. A lot of these players came back and played yesterday, but we're still seeing the same kind of issues with Kansas City. There's not a lot of run game there. I said it yesterday. They're middle of the pack in terms of all statistical categories, and they didn't exactly break out yesterday. So is this really enough for Andy Reid and this Chiefs team to make it past a growing Charger team and a growing Broncos team, who are both looking to absolutely kill the Giant this year? Because I can honestly say, I know we talked about it last year when they were winning all these close games and they went 11-0 in all these one-score games, and everybody was saying, oh, when's the levee going to break, or when is this all going to break down? When's this going to tear apart for the Chiefs? I've never seen more blood in the water. I've never seen more blood in the water when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. So like I said yesterday, this is the opportune time for not only Sean Payton and the Broncos, but Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers to finally put that stake in the heart of the Chiefs and run away with the championship, or at least the divisional championship, I should say. Not necessarily the conference, but we'll see how that goes. But right now, losing to the Jaguars has to be a little spurned in your hindquarters, and headed towards a very, very formidable Lions team next. We could be looking at a Chiefs team that's tied with the Raiders going to Las Vegas in 2 weeks. That is wild. That is a wild, wild statement, but it is what it is, because that's where we are in football. We'll take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we'll give you an update on this whole Mark Sanchez situation. He gets slapped with a felony yesterday, upgrading that battery charge. We will let you know what happened and all of the updates from the story as well, because as we told you during the beginning of this show, it's dumber than we ever thought. It really, truly is. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. We are also streaming video every single weekday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find us at the Early Bird Special or on Instagram and TikTok as well. We're all over social media. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff. We got to give you an update on this Mark Sanchez thing, though, because God, was this dumber than I ever expected. Yesterday, we told you guys Mark Sanchez was obviously arrested on a couple misdemeanor charges over the weekend after getting into an altercation with a 69-year-old truck driver. Come to find out that this story has gotten way worse. And I don't mean worse in terms of like how bad it was. I mean worse in terms of like, what the hell are you doing, Mark? Because at this point, I just am scratching my head. So we told you yesterday, basic information of what we already knew from the affidavit, which was Mark Sanchez getting into an altercation with a truck driver based on where the truck driver was parked outside of a hotel. And yeah, truck driver apparently was dropping off some cooking oils or picking up cooking oils. I can't remember which.
Was he not in the alley?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because the video looked like he was parked in an alley.
It's probably an alley. But regardless, the reason Mark wanted the guy to move wasn't necessarily to move his own car, thank God, because that would have led to some DUI questions that a lot of people would have had as well. But no, it's because Mark was running wind sprints outside while drunk and thought the guy was in his way.
Look what I can do.
Okay. Now, granted, blacked out drunk. From what we understand, from what he told the cops, he does not remember a dang thing about the altercation. All he remembers is reaching for a window, which I would assume was the truck window when he was trying to open the door, got pepper sprayed, stabbed a couple times, and including one that I believe, now that I'm understanding, he got hit in the face as well that hit his tongue and went through his cheek and into his tongue. So he got messed up by this dude, like bad, and rightfully so. But what the hell, dude? You're running wind sprints outside and you're going to get mad at somebody else. Like, again, I was sitting here racking my head around it yesterday because all I really knew was that this was a truck outside of a hotel parked somewhere that it probably wasn't supposed to be. As I told you guys yesterday, I have a bad just sense of luck, I guess, of people parking behind me or behind my garage. So I understand the frustrations that come from that. But this, what high school kid would pull this? Because I don't even think a college kid would do this. And for you to drunkenly say, fine, if you're not going to move, I'm going to move you. And he was in the truck when he said this. Of course, now I completely understand why the 69-year-old truck driver was fearing for his life. Because now this went from an altercation where a guy is shouting at you just because he wants to run sprints in the alleyway, probably homeless guy, you're first thinking, to a well over 6-foot man approaching your truck to throw you out of it to get in it and move it for you. And you don't even know if he's just going to stop by moving it for you or if he's just going to take off with the truck.
Smash it, something stupid.
And again,
I mean, the guys running one sprints. It just reminds me of stupid crap we would do in high school.
Absolutely,
high school.
This is high school stuff. This is something I expect a high school player.
I'm not scheduled to be on Fox Sports tomorrow morning.
No,
you know what I mean, to do an NFL game.
Everybody coming after Colin Cowherd and everybody from Fox Sports, it's not talking about this. Of course, they're not talking about this. Do you know any organization that would openly talk about or discuss an ongoing investigation with one of their own members? He comes on Cowherd's show all the time. You expect Cowherd to damn him? He loves the guy. Of course they're not going to say anything. Unfortunately, Mark's probably going to lose his job over this, as now the battery charges have been upgraded to serious felony battery with involving bodily injury, which means he's going to get slapped for a hefty fine or face 1 to 6 years in prison. Do I think he's going to go to prison? Probably not. But at this point right now, that truck driver is about to get a couple cool million. He's going to be walking away with a nice chunk of change, baby.
And he could tell his family, hey, I was the guy that stabbed Mark Sanchez.
Remember the butt fumble? Yeah, I got him back for that, Jets Nation.
Right.
Like,
I mean, I forgot all about that play, but that is just, it gets stupider and stupider.
We didn't even get into his career as a football player. I mean, we soon forget how coveted Mark Sanchez was for the Jets when he was first drafted there. I'm talking about a quarterback as a rookie, or at least as a young quarterback, that along with Rex Ryan led the Jets to 2 back-to-back AFC championship games. Although getting blown out by Tom Brady doesn't matter. You still led your team there in ways that everybody was assuming the minute Brady retired, you'd be the next team. You'd be the next guy.
And I mean, if you're a football fan, you remember those tough Jets defenses.
Mm-hmm. And then the butt fumble happened and all of the really questionable play happened. And then he got traded and let go and just never really came back to form. It really was. It was a circus.
But really I mean, it was a whole circus with Rex Ryan. But now you're looking at Jets fans, you know, it could be Eisen. It could be, you know, all the other ones that pump up the Jets. And, you know, that was probably the last time they were any good.
Yeah.
And I remember those days because the Jets were right fighting with the Patriots.
Darrelle Revis. And,
Revis Island. There was a bunch of good years over there.
Great plays and great teams on defenses, at least for the Jets back then.
And now you could tell by Rex Ryan, he probably has that job because of those couple years with the Jets. And now he gets away with murder with the crap he talks.
Well, this
guy has been a headache to me for years.
I get that. And to be honest with you, I do agree with you. It's kind of like Stephen A. Smith. He's probably put on that panel just because of how polarizing he is. But he does have great takes. I mean, he's a great coach. He's very smart. So I'm not sitting here saying Rex Ryan's takes aren't necessarily educated. But when you look at Mark and his value of work and how all of this just kind of spiraled downwards into this. I mean, someone had reminded me yesterday because I had totally forgot, but he did have an issue back at USC in 2006 that he was since figured out that it didn't necessarily happen the way they thought, but he was accused of harassment back at USC and was suspended from the college and all this other type of stuff. I mean, drunk while underage, all that type of hoopla, but what college kid doesn't do that? Let's be fair. But for all of this to kind of spiral down the way it did, and in such a bizarre way, just you being drunk for some reason, wanting to run wind sprints outside of a hotel, and then you get into an altercation with a truck driver that you really didn't need to. You could have just, moved. That is one of the biggest things in my head is that, and this isn't just towards Mark Sanchez. This is towards anybody who's listening to my voice right now. If you are a just sole person and a truck or something parks in front of you, unless it is blatantly in your way, you can move. Like the whole world is your orb. You can get out of the way. It's just, it's baffling to me that this all happened because he was wanting to run sprints outside and figured the truck driver just parked in the wrong spot. And then he walks away with multiple stab wounds, has to go to the hospital, but in stable condition, thank God. But then arrested in that same hospital and now is facing major charges. Again,
this happens. He can't act right.
What do you think that he's going to get slapped with, though? Because I doubt I doubt he sees prison time.
And he'll probably get a little suspension with the Fox Sports. I don't think they'll fire him, but
you don't think they'll fire him outright?
I doubt it.
I don't know, dude. Like stuff like this.
It's a drunken night. I think he'll pay for it, and people remember it, and he'll probably get a suspension for probably the rest of the season. And it's just how the media does. If you're a big name, if not, he'll find a job somewhere else or he'll start his own podcast.
Yeah, that for sure. He'll definitely jump on his own podcast or maybe
hopefully
jump on USC.
He could shake it off and move forward. Nothing besides himself got himself injured, but I'm glad no one got hurt. I mean, it could be way worse. I mean, we're seeing drunk driving players that get a slap on the wrist. So,
and technically, again, not to loop this back to DUI, but what if he was successful in getting that driver out of the truck and started driving that truck?
You get a fine,
which is the wild part about it, because that's a DUI,
right?
You're hammered. You're blacked out drunk, and you tried to get in somebody else's car and drive it. That is a DUI.
I mean, we've seen players that got multiple DUIs this offseason and got slaps on the wrist. So I'm like,
the wildest.
The best part of this is he got himself injured, not anyone else. So I'm glad no one was seriously injured, and hopefully he pays his price. And
couple lacerations, and you all just have to slap a couple $1 million towards the other guy,
and he'll always remember it.
And honestly,
next time he wants to do wind sprints.
That's the other thing, though, is that we're all going to forget about this in about a year. Everybody's going to forget.
Oh no, man, because that butt fumble thing has been going on for 15
but see,
years.
that was on national television, and everybody can't let that go because that's probably stuck at the beginning of his highlight reel for everybody is the butt fumble. Nobody will forget the butt fumble. That's still to this day. I know we talk a lot about Trent Richardson, how bad his vision was. That was probably one of the worst vision plays I've ever seen a quarterback make, running right into your guard just to fall over and lose the ball. That is why that will never be forgotten. This, though, not being really in the centerfold of everybody's television, I don't think it's going to be something that sticks in people's memory for that long. We're a very, very recency bias based country.
The 24-hour reels in our face.
Oh, yeah. So this will all get slapped, on Mark. He'll probably be disappeared for the next couple months until the actual, the trial is done. We'll all remember it for another month, and then it'll go by the wayside.
I would be more shocked if he had some jail time.
I would too, to be honest with you. But again, something as serious as this, fully physically confronting someone aggressively, like that could get you thrown in jail, especially since you weren't exactly Ray Lewis or anybody that covets you anymore. You're not one of those NFL players that they're going to sprint to sweep up the footprints, as it were. So I don't know. He may get slapped with at least a year, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be a hefty fine plus some money towards the guy who was obviously wronged here. And then we move on from it. Everybody forgets about it in about a year. And maybe he keeps his job at Fox Sports. I think that one's the first to go. But then again, maybe you're right. If they were going to fire him, they probably would have fired him yesterday when the felony came out. So it is what it is. We'll get you an update on all of this as soon as we can. But hopefully you guys got a good laugh out of that as I did or as we did yesterday, because to be honest with you, this is probably one of the dumbest altercations I have heard in quite some time. And as a USC fan, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a little ashamed to say this guy went to USC and played for us for a little bit. Not going to lie to you. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we're going to get into this Kyren Lacy situation, the former LSU star who took his own life through guilt and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's so much to this story. I'll give you the details on it on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the early bird special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Streaming video every single day on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're also live on ESPNBakersfield.com. If you want to just listen audio-wise and you can't catch us on AM or FM frequencies, listen to us anywhere around the country, either on ESPN Bakersfield, YouTube, Facebook. At any point in time, just like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that type of good stuff. We got to get to this Kyren Lacy story. Ryan Clark brought it up at the end of the game yesterday because there has been some updates in this entire story. I kind of got to it yesterday, but we did not nearly have enough time, so I'll break it down a little bit more in depth today. Kyren Lacy, former second team All SEC wide receiver for the LSU Tigers, probably would have been the next in a long line of fantastic wide receivers to come out of LSU and go into the pros. He would have been a rookie this year. He was wronged. He was wronged so bad by Louisiana State Police and a lot of others here. But the basic story of how this all transpired, about 2-3 months before the draft, I would say, maybe even a month, it was in December of 2024, there was a fatal crash in Louisiana that took the life of a 78-year-old man, head-on collision between two cars. And it was blamed on Lacy. They claimed that Lacy was driving recklessly through lanes, cut off this truck, which caused him to veer, lock up his brakes, and head-on collision with a former vet, the 78-year-old who ended up passing away in the hospital after the accident, unfortunately. Again, all of this, according to the police report, was blamed on Kyren Lacy in his green Challenger. Now, the weird part about this is the video and the audio that's come out since then. Kyren Lacy was then, after all of this transpired, his invite to the draft was revoked. He essentially lost everything that he was working for, pretty much thinking that his life was over. A couple months later, in April, he gets into a heated altercation with a family member. Shots were fired apparently into the ground, from what we understand. And that is what led to the family member calling police. Kyren Lacy then left, took off in his car, and was found a couple hours later in his car, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. At 24 years old, this kid took his life because of grief. I want to state that verbatim. He didn't kill himself because he killed somebody else, because that wasn't the truth. Video has come out, as shown from the traffic incident, that not only did Kyren Lacy had nothing to do with this, had nothing to do with the crash at all. In fact, it was caused by the lady that was in front of him who was driving recklessly, as stated by one of the drivers in some audio that we played for you yesterday. We'll try to play it again here in a little bit. But he was blamed for something that he was literally 70 feet behind, up to 90 actually, at the time of the video actually being started. And it's proven in the video that he was nowhere close to the accident. He actually showed up about a minute or two after the accident and went around them at a safe speed. And he was blamed for that by police officers who told the driver that survived to blame the Charger. Verbatim said, just remember that you told me, and just write it down right here, what I'm telling you, that the Charger was driving so recklessly it caused you to lock up your brakes, and that's what led to the collision, which was obviously a lie. And this kid losing his future over this, losing everything he had worked for over this, and then taking his own life because of the grief that he was feeling, because he felt his life was over, because he was being wronged. This type of stuff can't pass, man. It really can't. We played the audio for you yesterday. Do we still have that audio piece? Let's play it again. This is I'm not 100% sure if this is Lacy's attorney or if this is just a very good attorney who looked into this and was, with all the developments over the weekend, kind of compiled it for everybody in a brilliant take. But let's play this again for anybody who wasn't listening at the end of the show yesterday. This is audio from that attorney explaining what actually happened at the account. And it's paired with body cam footage from the cop taking the report, talking to the driver of the gold truck, the surviving driver, and telling him essentially what he wanted him to do. So let's listen to it real quick.
You can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
Mm-hmm. I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number 1 in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused.
Now, I don't need to explain to everybody exactly what went down. Or at least I shouldn't, but here's my best interest here. Or here's my best take on it. Cop told driver, write down what I tell you. Driver said, that's not what happened. I'm not going to do that. So cop wrote it down himself, told him to sign it. Driver number 2 said, I'm not signing that. And the cop walked away to save his own butt. This happens entirely too often. Entirely too often. And unfortunately, it's taking a star athlete's death to really highlight it. But this is just wild. Like, I agree with every take I've seen on the internet. I am sick to my stomach when I see stuff like this. Because this kid should be playing in the NFL right now. He should probably be playing for your favorite team. They could have drafted him. He was going to be a first-round draft pick. That's how good this kid was. And his entire life was taken from him just because a cop felt it necessary. And at this point, it just furthers the divide. I'm not going to get into it politically. It is what it is. But I ride with with Angel Reese and Brian Kelly and everybody from LSU who stands up and says justice needs to be served for his family. Sparky, I know you're an LSU fan. I don't know how much you got to watch Lacy or how much you remember watching him. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, my friend. Don't feel like you have to say anything you don't want to. But how do you feel about this entire thing and the developments?
I mean, it's just it's a sick story, and really even with the LSU fan, just as a fan of anything in sports or just life in general, I don't care if the player was a badass player or was a cheerleader. For all I care, it's just the world we live in, and it's a sad story, and hopefully it gets justified. Hopefully the police officer,
we don't know the reason.
Just makes my skin crawl, but it's just the fact that it is an ability that people with higher power have control of,
which is just,
and it's a sick world.
Yeah.
But
I mean, again,
hopefully the families on both sides, get justice, and hopefully the police officer trying to swerve the story to, make it a bigger story or save his butt, have to pay the consequences.
That's the long and short of it. I agree with you 100%. This type of stuff is just not acceptable. There are certain jobs that I genuinely believe only a handful of people are allowed to have. Cop is one of them. It genuinely is, because you have to be a different kind of person to be a good cop. And I don't mean a good cop isn't a good person. I mean a good cop, like somebody who can do the job well. And unfortunately, I just feel like there's a lot of people that don't fit that bill that are cops right now. We don't know his reasoning. We don't know why he was telling the witnesses to say certain things. We really don't. And all of that is going to be coming to fruition here pretty soon, I hope. and we'll give you updates on that when it does. But just for now, if you guys are wondering who's Kyren Lacy, who's this guy that all these football players keep talking about, go watch the video. Just if you're curious at all, if you're wondering what type of misjustice this is, I know I can't play for you right now, unfortunately. Maybe when we get a little bit more technology based in the show here in the upcoming months, I'll be able to do that for you upcoming. But for right now, we can't really show you anything. So please go out, look at the video if you want. Look at every piece of proof that I just talked about right now, and you'll see just as well as we do. This was a wrongdoing. This kid should be playing football on Sundays right now, but unfortunately, he's up with God watching down on all of his friends and former teammates play instead. And it all happened because one cop decided, I'm going to blame him. He's the bad guy here. The green Charger, because it's a Charger. And most likely, I just didn't like the guy. I again, don't know the guy's reasoning for it, nor am I going to speak to it, but this stuff is just sickening and it needs to stop. It really does.
Well, we'll take our final break of the hour before 24KG jumps in, talks wrestling. If you want some Brunch Fest tickets, text them in. We've got a couple that are coming in, and we'll get to those texts right after this break.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Streaming video live every single weekday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can follow us on all social media. I just got an update from the Mark Sanchez situation. I apologize. I'm trying to pull it up right now from Bleacher Report. As Perry Toll, the alleged truck driver that got into the altercation with Mark, has spoken, or at least he hasn't spoken, but his representation has, as he has left the hospital. His representation says he is released from the hospital, recovering and hopeful that he will regain function to, his ability to speak. Right now, he's having a real difficult time communicating because of the large gash on his face that affected his jaw, tongue, and mouth. He's just at home resting, but we expect further medical treatment and ongoing treatment well into the future.
Get you a financial advisor.
Oh, 100%, because that's lawyer speak for you'll be talking to us from here on out. He will not be saying a dang word. Mr. Toll, though, apparently will be missing his son's wedding, as this story says as well, which is scheduled for this weekend. And so they'll be tacking that on as well as emotional damage towards Mark Sanchez's entire situation, which doesn't help anybody at all.
Be smart, be safe, be money wise.
Man, you want to tie this boy Matt and I have a dime to his name when all this is said and done.
Well, we'll get to a couple of our texts. The first one says Thornton has been the one spotlight in the KC offense, and I personally think the Jaguars can be scary if they trade for another offensive weapon. And to be honest, I would take them over the Colts to take this division.
Really? Okay. I mean, I agree with you on Thornton. I totally forget about Thornton. You're absolutely right. He's been a very good addition to the team, especially with guys like Hollywood not really filling the role that they wanted. But again, every time I watch these games, anytime that Patrick needs a first down or needs a key throw, he ain't throwing to Thornton. He's throwing to Juju. And to be honest with you, every time I see him, especially these screenplays, they're always running behind Juju. That guy is a bigger piece to this offense that I think people give credit for. As far as the Jags usurping the Colts here, I don't know, man. I have a hard just a feeling in my gut that the Colts are for real. They really are in terms of who they've played and who they've beaten. I give them more respect than I give the Jags.
The next one says, I am screwed with my fantasy team now, losing Hampton for a month. Is there anyone worth a shot at waivers? Because I don't recognize any of these guys.
My brother, I am in the exact same spot as you. And to be honest with you, we're going to give you our waiver wire picks tomorrow. I promise you I will find you a running back because I need to find a running back. So whoever I find, I'll let you know, and hopefully they could save both of us.
And then the last one says, it's a sad story, and the whole thing was sketchy from the start. But my question is, are they going to go after the police officer?
They should. If they don't, then there's going to be even more questions about this. But again, like Sparky said, that's just the world we live in. For some reason, we're okay with that kind of thing happening, but not the other way around. I really feel like they should at least throw the book at the cop, at least have him fired, because this type of policing is not acceptable. But you're right. When this all started, it didn't seem right to me. We talked about it months ago when it happened in April. But now that this is all coming to a head, I hope we get some justice, and I hope we find at least a reason to why they blamed him. Because again, you watch the video, go watch the traffic video. I'm not kidding. I mean, it takes him 10 to 15 seconds to even get in the frame after the accident has already happened. So I still am trying to wrap my head around a cop saying, yeah, that's our guy. That guy right there who was nowhere close to it. That's the one who started this accident. That's just wild to me. But we got to take a break. On the other side, we got our guy 24KG, talk all things wrestling. WWE had a pretty solid Raw last night. We'll talk about it and let you know what happened. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Also streaming video-wise every single day on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, all that type of good stuff. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. And as it always is, it's time on this Tuesday to talk all things wrestling with our guy 24KG. Good sir, how are you? How are we feeling today?
Doing great, doing good. Ready for Brunch Fest this
Absolutely.
Saturday. If you guys are in the Kern County area, yes, to answer your question, yes, I will be DJing Brunch Fest. We've also got live music from NSA, No Strings Attached. So, guys, get out there. I see you guys had Firehouse yesterday. Oh man,
Firestone, Fireplace, Fire. Fire. We gave a little bit of fire to everybody yesterday.
You know what? I'm fired up because I seen that waffle funnel cake.
Dude, I'm telling you, that thing
concoction. That
I've never eaten a waffle that made me think of my grandma's waffles while also eating a funnel cake. Like that was incredible. I cannot explain.
That's an insane fusion. I can't wait to try.
To go to Brunch Fest this Saturday, I believe it's 11 to 3 at the fairgrounds.
Yes,
you can call or text in before the end of this show today at 661-842-2000. We're sitting on a pair right now.
Absolutely.
Just for you, baby.
We got plenty more for you to actually win from us here all week long, but we got to talk about what happened in the world of wrestling over the weekend and obviously what happened yesterday.
Yes.
I'm not even going to get into LFG because this thing was rigged. This thing was rigged.
Come on.
The story.
Danny Sikelski, that's who we're sending to NXT.
Hey.
The former Titans cheerleader is going to be in NXT. No, let's be real. Let's be real. She ain't going to last. She ain't going to last.
Nah.
She's not.
Nah.
Well, great. We get another tiny blonde in the WWE. Like, that's gonna shock anybody. It should have been P Nasty. It should have been and honestly, they should have just moved her right past NXT and given her to Solo and said, "Hey, here's your new female member of my family tree."
We don't know that could still actually happen, though. You know, sometimes just because they don't win the competition doesn't mean they don't win an opportunity at some type of status on wherever they may land on a roster or whatnot. But I agree with you entirely. Throw us a curveball. Give us some diversity.
Justice for my girl P Nasty, brother. Justice for P Nasty.
We rock with P Nasty over here. Definitely.
I cannot deal with this. And then I didn't even look at the men's side. I was so mad after the women's plus the Dodger game. I couldn't even get over it. So I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with sports today. I said, you know what? I watched the Chiefs lose. I was winning enough for me. Let's talk about what happened to Raw, though.
Definitely. It seems like
this entire storyline with Jay and Roman and Jimmy is really starting to reach an interesting turning point. Do you think that we're going to see a heel Jay here like next week?
Well, I was just about to jump into that. I'm glad that we started with that today, Chris. I think this is WWE telling us that we know where the money is. Mm-hmm. It's always been with the bloodline. We had to give it a break. We tried to, spin off the show, how sometimes a spin-off comes around from a series we like, and it just doesn't really attach to the viewers and whatnot because these guys already have an established rapport with the audience. Will we see a heel Jimmy? We've seen it once before, but I don't think this is the case. And honestly, I kind of almost don't know where we're going with this. If Roman Reigns is really going to be wise manning this new version of the bloodline, will we get another member added in? We already see the MFTs kind of reconstituting on SmackDown. SmackDown almost to me seems like a show that is NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. They kind of have a variety aspect to it, which kind of throws off some people's consistent viewership. But when you look at Monday Night Raw, Raw is defined by these characters, these stars, and these storylines, and they kind of have been lacking. We've been very critical of it. Everybody has over the past few months, but that's also with a lot that's been going on with the expansion of WWE, TKO, and everywhere else and everything else that's been going on. Landing on the point being that this whole evolution that we've seen of WWE's business now translating, actually, I should say, calming down and them focusing more so on the storylines, we're getting a better product or a concentration effort in the creative that we seen last night. Storyline, 5 matches, and boom, we got a perfect setup to Perth, Australia this weekend. With certain matches, I really, before I even go into that, let's just start with the Uso confrontation with Knight and Punk. Now that had a little fire on it right there. Since we talking about being fired up, he fired Buddy Chin up. I seen 2 Chins get fired up last night, and I was like, that's the Usos we miss seeing as far as storyline wise, and the aggression from Jay. The whole point with Roman saying, hey, you have a problem with me giving him advice. I hear and see everything. It just reminded me of those storylines that WWE used to really give a dang about when they were presenting, characters on television for Monday Night Raw.
Little devil's advocate thing that popped in my head, though, and this is a question to both of you because I know we've talked about this in the past. WWE really excels when it's a family business. You know what I mean? When you have a next in line of a generation of a wrestler to come in, that's usually the first one the fans cling to because they cling to their parent, and obviously the fan base just kind of trickles down. Do you think that's becoming an issue for the WWE? Because it seems to me that they keep trying to bring in these guys like Bronson Reed, LA Knight, these guys that don't have the Nepo, line into the company, as it were, but they're not gaining the traction as some of these other guys do. Your Jey Usos, your Braun Breakers, your Cody Rhodes, all because they kind of have, they already have a leg up on everybody else in terms of fan base. So do you think that's going to be a problem going forward? Because it seems to me that the WWE can only create good stories around those Nepo babies, for lack of a better term.
You want to get this one first, Spark?
No, go ahead.
All right, bro. Look, has it really been working up until now? I mean, has it really been failing up until now?
True.
Not necessarily, but moving forward, you do want to look at it. Spin the globe around on the other side. Let's just look at what we don't see, okay? For the guys that don't grow up within the business, that are second and third generation superstars that get a leg up naturally by either experience or just osmosis, being around the atmosphere, obviously have a disadvantage, but that doesn't mean that they're set back. They're not putting the cart in front of the horse, so to speak. Some people will jump right over the cart. Just naturally gifted athletes that graft to the business, like Kurt Angle, for example. This is the only problem I see in the future with generational talent. People can only produce so many children, at once. So by the time of what we're seeing now, 20 years ago, these guys becoming of age and jumping in the business, and still slim down that percentage to, let's just say, out of 100 generational talents, 10 actually make it to WWE. Out of those 10, 7 actually make it to developmental, 5 only make it to television, 3 only stay consistent, and 1 turns out to be The Rock.
See, but again, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like we see it more lately or more often, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just now learning Charlie Dempsey is the son of William
Regal. Yes,
I had no idea of that, but it makes sense to me now why he keeps getting the push that he gets, because his dad is William Regal.
Well, think about this.
Give him that push.
We've seen the Hart generation. We've seen a lineage of the Anawahis, Maiavias, and Fatus. This can keep going on even into the Ortons. This can go on, and everybody has children right now that are growing up in the business, or nonetheless, at a certain point, want to get into it seriously. Now, what we're about to see is a drought in that, like how we seen a drought in it during the SmackDown era between the 2009 and 2014, 2000 eras like that. We're right now, we're at one of the greatest generational runs with Dominic Mysterio doing what he's doing, more so than I think Ray was. Ray was very popular for a long time, but I think Dominic Mysterio can exceed that with what he's doing if WWE continues to book him right. But Ray also had the benefit of different territories and companies. We're at a globalization type of factor right now with WWE. And as long as they keep working with other companies and absorbing those rosters, he'll be fine with having a lengthy, match-worthy career to reflect on, such as, let's just say, AJ Styles, for instance. His son is looking to get into the grappling game, and we could see another Styles coming into the forefront of WWE, NXT, LFG, even in the next 5-6 years. Nonetheless, the Steiners that have been produced, just because we got Braun Breaker right now, we still got 2-3 more Steiners ready to come through here. So best believe, people, you're going to see familiar faces, and that's not by accident. That's by design.
Right, but does that hurt them at all?
Nah, not really. If they can book these guys right, like I gave on with the percentage earlier, and filter out the, as Macho Man would say, cream of the crop. Who's gonna rise to the top there, brother? Once they get that out of that generational scoop every time, it's like the best of the best. You know, culling the herd.
Probably right on point with that. I think really in the next year to 3 years, we're going to have a big changeover. That we're at that crossroad where a lot of the wrestlers that we grew up where we watched, are going to the end, retiring, or we're going to see some type of mix where they're still involved and a part of it. But I mean, look at, the next 2 or 3 years, there's a lot of these top wrestlers that are of age. We've talked about, a lot of these champs, a lot of these women are going to step away. And I think I certainly, after watching Raw last night, I think they're starting to stir that pot where we're going to see a lot of, the vision breaking up. We're going to see more of the Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed side of each other. And I think they're going to start building these personalities. But I mean, with AJ leaving, Seth Rollins talking about retiring, and a lot of these that are on their way out. Charlotte Flair's talked about stepping away. I think a lot of these, but the WWE is always classic. They'll always have some type of, classic wrestler or nostalgia involved with building these stories. But I'm pretty excited to just see what the next chapter is going to be.
Definitely.
Again, I just kept thinking about it. The more and more I watch how this roster is being built, the more and more I see just, oh, wow, that's this person's kid. Oh, wow, that's that person's kid. And at first I'm sitting there thinking, that's awesome. I love seeing the nostalgia. I love seeing all the families and all that type of stuff. Because as I've stated on this show before, wrestling is a family affair. It's a family business. But it's just, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, all of these incredible talents that don't come from those families don't ever get that same treatment, especially from the fan base. And it really does go by the wayside. I get that we get some guys like Javon Evans, who obviously it was all around the world of wrestling before he finally came to the WWE and is now getting the push that he deserves and didn't need a family member to really get him to that level. But for every Javon Evans, there are, like you just said, 4 Steiners.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with 4 Steiners?
Well, what you can do in this aspect is, for WWE or wrestling superstars of current notoriety right now, what we're seeing is a creation of new legacies. The Rollins family, take for instance, Becky Lynch is probably not probably, but right up there with top 5 women wrestlers of all time. With this run that she's on, the talent she's able to uplift, the people that she's able to get over with anything. Becky Lynch, I gotta, not just being a Becky fan, you look at in comparison of her, right? You got Charlotte Flair, boom, nepotism, lineage, legacy, heritage that she stepped in. Sasha Banks, the only thing we knew about her was she was Snoop Dogg's cousin, right? I know that's not really technically a wrestling rub, but it is some type of celebritization when she's coming into the business. She has some type of pull or connection. Not Becky Lynch, from Ireland, no background, nothing other than coming from a good wrestling heritage school, which Finn Balor was a part of. And then you have Bayley, just a girl from San Diego who grew up watching WWE. This next generation, like literally of their children, could possibly, and I'll say this immediately about Rollins and Becky because they have a child that they travel with, do this, involve in storylines, even in mentioning, it's fully absorbed as a family product. Now, when you take everybody else that I mentioned and kind of measure it up, are they focused more so on their career or a legacy after that? That's when you start asking those questions of how it's going to hurt the business. Because, like you said, man, I have to very much agree with you. 4 Steiners for every 1 Javon Evans, for every 1 Miles Bourne, it's it does take away certain people's opportunities, but it's just going to make the ones that don't have a background work harder to make a name for themselves.
Well, that is a possibility, and I always take that into account. But since you've already brought it up, we'll move into Crown Jewel, which is this weekend, Saturday, at I believe 8 a.m. Eastern time.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'll watch it when I wake up, so it's no commercials, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But with that being said, Roman Reigns coming back, being a part of the bloodline, obviously, as you already talked about, and being one of these technical Nepo babies, because he is a lineage from a family member, has taken a spot in this PLE again, and fans are starting to get annoyed with it. As we will see once again, the tribal chief against most likely the tribal thief in a Australian match, which I only assume is just a hardcore.
It's a street fight. Street fight. Well, to answer your question, I feel you on the scratching your head, and another one of those things that make you go, as Arsenio Hall used to say. Now, actually, this is kind of a we'll make it right match. If you think about it, a while back when WWE was in Perth, Australia, Bronson Reed couldn't compete due to situational circumstance.
100%.
I don't know if it was visa or I think his child was being born, something like that. And they had just gotten off a European tour. Something, didn't line up with the schedule or whatnot. So being that they have invested a lot in the Samoan tsunami, this guy, I feel like that this is his reward of a culmination of coming home, being healthy. He's lost a lot of weight after that ankle injury. He's really put on great matches and performed, I'd say, above people's expectational standards since his return to WWE. And this might be just another way of thank you very much for the house type of thing and grooming him to take one of those main event spots. Like, as you said, with you're seeing the culmination of the vision starting to crack with the Bronze basically breaking off. They're setting up their branch off from their current faction. And these are two guys that can lead Monday Night Raw's main event scene.
Right, but that's not my point. My point isn't that Bronson is getting the spot. My point is that Roman is getting it.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with Roman?
Roman has been gone for weeks.
Roman, he been shooting Street Fighter. He's a Kuma. Like that's your guy. He's your ratings draw. You want to make some money? You put Roman in a match.
The same type of match could have been done with Randy.
Nah. There's no his
against Bronson Reed. It would have been the same kind of push. You still get the Australian guy on the list.
Okay. Who said it's not going to happen though? Because we just seen Bronson Reed tsunami the crap out of Randy Orton.
Here's the thing, though. That's the point. You could have easily given Randy his lick back during this PLE, but
too soon.
This, arguably, in my opinion, this was TKO once again sticking their hand in, saying, "We want Roman, not that guy." And this
I can't argue with you on. I can't argue with you on that though, because they are known for doing that and disrupting a current storyline.
When it came to Crown Jewel and when it came to this PLE, completely stunting everybody's love for wrestling because you just throw guys out there instead of actually building a story, and you have no storyline to any of these matches outside of Rhea and Io against the Kabuki Warriors. Not a single one of these matches. Well, I guess Cody and Seth kind of does.
That really holds together. That strings together the whole PLE right there if you really look at it.
But we're talking Stephanie and Tiffany, no build up there. AJ and John out of nowhere, and it was just because people on the fan base on the internet were mad about the fact that we weren't going to get that. And it's been completely led by AJ just at these Raws after his matches saying, this match is going to be a banger. And if it's not a banger, we're all going to be looking at the two of you like, what the hell did we just get?
Well,
and throw Roman into the middle of it as if that was already the plan. I'm telling you, dude, TKO's got their hands in this, and they're going to ruin a lot of the momentum that they've already built just because these guys have to, quote unquote, have their guy in the PLE.
Well, you know what this kind of sounds like to me from what you're describing and breaking down? We could also say that creatively they're in panic mode after the last criticism on the article that came out about the PLE and how disappointed ESPN was as a partner, as a presenter in that $1 billion product and investment that they did not feel fulfilled on. So if this is the result, we might just be in for a storm of feces coming our way when it comes to storyline continuity for the next few months.
But that's my problem, though. They got that bad review for trying to be too much like the UFC and not building stories and not doing it the wrestling way. When you
look who took over WWE.
I get that. But when you were bought by ESPN, when you were brought in to be part of the ESPN moniker and the ESPN brand, you were brought in to be WWE. And by allowing these things to happen, fans aren't happy. The writers aren't even happy. And you're not getting good matches because there's no substance to it. We talk all the time. We talk so much, ill about AEW and how they don't do that. And that's why their matches fall flat on their face. And here's the WWE doing the exact same thing and allowing somebody who's a mark, Tony Khan, not actually attached to the WWE. I'm just using that as an example for those of you who are not following. But they're allowing people in TKO who are marks, people that are just fans that just want to see their guys in a PLE again, take over, and it's making it a problem.
I totally agree with those aspects on it, but when it comes down to the bottom dollar of business, you can't sell a show without stars, and building stars has been the problem in every wrestling company that has a major platform over the last 10 years. Like John Cena's motto of being the last real champion is not just a moniker of something to say to the fans to make them pop. It's actually true. When you look at the current situation, when you look at the current field of play right now, your biggest name on either side of the board is a Roman Reigns.
True.
And to not have him on a PLE, even with a build, it would be way better. So I really feel like they're just trying to string together their last encounter from how we haven't seen Roman in a month because he was shooting Street Fighter and how he got hospitaled off, right? So if they're picking right back up on that storyline, I get it, but they could have dressed it different instead of just run it right back. Okay, well, what changed? You're not stealing shoes anymore. Obviously, you got enough shoes. He got his Shula follow back, which was a great run. But what are we going to see here with this? What's going to happen with my question is what's going to happen with this storyline after this? What does this get for Bronson Reed? He's already over.
The only thing that I can see this doing is setting up further the War Games match. That's coming.
That's all it is.
That's all.
I think the whole thing is the whole setup is for it, and I think we'll see maybe some crazy returns. Maybe we get Liv back. Maybe we get some of these. But going down these matches, I mean, we talked about the Reed and Roman, Steph and Tiffy, Cody and Seth, AJ and Cena, and Rhea and Io against Kabuki Warriors. Is there any matches that really stand out to you that you would get up at 5 a.m. to watch live?
None really, honestly, besides the AJ and John Cena, but not to get up at 5 a.m. I would watch that just as the replay. But one thing I want to bring up from last night actually is a question to you guys. How do you feel about LA Knight's current position in the upper mid card, kind of orbiting around the title? Are they holding him in some type of limbo right now? The guy deserves a shot. They're not letting him move forward. They're not letting him move on. Obviously, it almost feels like they're place holding him for if something doesn't work out or they want to pivot. Am I wrong for assuming this in an analytical kind of mindset? Are you guys feeling that?
No, not at all. Because again, that was the point I was trying to make at the beginning of this: is that all of these lack of
let's just say legacy wrestlers.
Legacy wrestlers. Yeah. All these legacy wrestlers.
Put some respect on that.
Of LA Knight and all these guys who have been working their butt off forever and really deserve the shot at the title, but never get it because everybody's like, no, it's Jey Uso's turn. No, it's Roman Reigns' turn. No, it's Braun Breaker's turn. And we're just skipping these guys.
The thing is that I would have to say is, if you can't beat them, outperform them. And we've seen that with cases like AJ Styles. We've seen that with cases like LA Knight, but have they really been vindicated in their,
did we forget
triumphs?
The bangers that LA just had with Seth?
Yeah. And hey, that's what I'm saying. We were
all of his momentum.
I agree with you entirely.
And it derailed the wrong guy's momentum. It derailed LA's, not Seth's. How the again? This is my issue with it.
The series with Seth Rollins, who's also a non-legacy wrestler, I think it showed the best of LA Knight and a piece to Seth Rollins that people forget. This man never have a bad match. Like Seth Rollins is that guy. Like how Bret Hart was that in-ring technician, Shawn Michaels was that showmanship general in the ring. He is a fusion of both of those when he gets his motor going. Fair. And LA Knight, honestly, with his series with Seth Rollins, brought out a side of not just athleticism, but ring charisma that I think people might have forgot LA Knight is capable of. You know, much like last night, Becky Lynch brought out the best in Maxine Dupree we've ever seen. And this is somebody that I think that WWE has kept their eye on and kept around for instances of, I know her potential and maybe she'll rise to it. And last night, she put on a banger with Becky, man. I really got to say, most improved wrestler of the season on Monday Night Raw would have to go to Maxine Dupree in the women's division because
when she has one match a year, it's
We'll see what happens next week.
Instance, though, hold on, though. Another instance on the women's side of a fantastic up and coming wrestler that doesn't get any love because of all of the legacy wrestlers that get put in front of her. Like,
I'm not
I'm not a huge fan of Maxine. Don't get me wrong, but I will give you her.
You will see it. But if you can't beat them, outperform them, guys. That's my advice to it.
And personally, I'm looking forward to the Io Rhea match more than any of them.
Match.
Yeah.
Cody and Seth is going to be fantastic. I think Stephanie and Tiffy are going to give us a fantastic match, but there's no reason for the two of them to go up against each other. And all the rest of these, I don't see a point for Roman and Bronson anymore. I really don't. That match would have been better if it was Jay or Jimmy, really, and then let Roman get involved rather than be at the center of it. I mean, there are so many better ways you could have gone about this PLE to at least give us some sort of story to most of these pieces, and they didn't do it. And they're going to continue to do this, and it's going to bug the heck out of everybody on the internet. Because I can guarantee you right now, you've already said it during this interview, I'm going to call right now that this PLE gets a C or lower.
I think that one good Monday Night Raw does not secure your win for a above C average grading as well, Chris. I would have to concur on that statement, good sir.
I personally think it's going to be better than we expect.
Think this one's going to be better?
It definitely will.
I think Triple H is going to bring everything to this one.
I hope he does, but I still think there are going to be some things that we didn't get in the last one, as far as, you're going to see game-changing expectations and reveals, and maybe they'll dump a little bit of that, onto the plate this time. But A+ PLE, nah. B+, maybe. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll rock with it. I'll go with a B. You know what I mean? But will it remain C average or below? There is a possibility that ESPN analysts could really roast him again.
And Cena and Gunther for the final match is what is been twirling on the internet. You think this is going to be the real thing?
There's no truth to that.
All right, now look, I'm not. All right, I laugh, I cackle.
Same thing with Styles and Cena when they were announcing it.
Styles and Cena makes sense because they had a long-standing rivalry and they just didn't have time to really.
When a guy's wrestled that long, you could throw in anybody and say, "Well, they have a long history."
I'm gonna just tell WWE creative over there
try to change it up.
They need to, because obviously somebody over there, as Stephen A. Smith would say, is on the weed. Okay, somebody's on the weed over there. The consensus for Gunther is a strong one, but is that what we really want to see? No. Cena going out like lights up, like to 50 chops? Or we want to chop city?
It doesn't make any sense. And
why
the hell
he's already gotten beat enough
by Brock?
Yeah,
to not use it at the end, I don't understand it.
I would love to see Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. Now that's one they could bank on, and I know they're probably saving it.
We got plenty.
Why else? Yeah, why else would they bring back Brock right now and warm him up unless Gunther wasn't close to being recovered fully, healed fully, and he's going to come back in phenomenal shape, man. The dude takes his craft very serious, and I wouldn't be surprised if they run those guys into each other immediately as possible because that's just money on the table.
I'm trying to envision Gunther with a 6-pack, and I don't think I can actually do that.
No, he's a big dude, but he might just get his muscle back up, man. Because he got really lean when he got to the main roster.
I will break down right now exactly how we will see the end of John Cena's career. His next match will be against Dom Mysterio. He'll take that IC title off of him. He'll most likely get one more with AJ, so AJ gets a shot at it too, and then we will wrap all of this up with one final shot against Brock, in which hopefully they don't do him like they did him this last time and actually give him a shot at winning. But then again, it's Brock Lesnar, who loves to go out of his own way and tell the writers to, and not exactly do what they tell him to do. So God only knows if Brock's even going to let John win at the end of all of this.
I like what you got over there, man. I like that. You know what I mean?
I swear to God, if Gunther gets thrown into this at all, I'm going
John Cena's never been a Grand Slam champion. That's the only thing. Nope. He's never won the IC title. People forget
if they ruined John Cena's retirement tour with Gunther as the last match.
And I see Rusev and Penta getting after the IC title before.
Oh, no, they would get a shot at it. Don't get me wrong.
It would be great just to have, like, honestly, and I don't say this just to do a quick fix, but like hot potato it, to have Penta take the, IC title off of Dom and then have Rusev take it right off of Penta. It makes perfect sense.
Or go the other way, or the way I'm thinking too is John takes it off of Dom, Rusev takes it off of John. Because Rusev and John also long-term rivalry there that you can get out of it if you wanted to. But again, there's a lot of question marks.
You better hurry up. They got 4 hits left with Cena?
Man, I think they're going to squeeze in a couple more.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that Bubba had it right, dude. I think they're going to try to convince him to go all the way to Mania. I think they really will. Whether they actually get it to work out or not, I have no idea, because I'm sure the man's got a million movies he's working on at the same time.
Hey, it's like any concert. Sometimes they sell so many tickets that they have to either come back to the city immediately or do a show twice a day. However it goes, I think negotiations could be found to
WWE fans will be so pissed if they drop $11 grand for those Saturday night main event tickets.
It's just not
his final match.
WWE at this point is really going to care, though. They obviously are running.
Did you see the guy that sold his classic car, his like El Camino or Eddie Guerrero inspired lowrider, to get tickets just for the next WrestleMania that was coming up? And they're like, bro, honestly, the car was worth more than the tickets. It wasn't that serious.
Like, take a second and a third mortgage just to get these tickets.
We got to talk about that one at a later date, you guys. Is WWE pricing beyond family consumption for entertainment rates at this day and age? And honestly, I would have to say yes.
First episode of that will be coming here in the next couple weeks, so look out for that on YouTube, and that might just be our first topic. You never know. Sir, we got to get out of here, though. We got to pay some bills our dang self. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and we will talk to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you at Brunch Fest if you're in Kern County. And also, just a little tidbit there. It's my birthday on Sunday, but we're celebrating Saturday at Brunch Fest, so I'll see you there.
You're celebrating in multiple places on Saturday.
Yes, indeed.
We'll keep the secondary spot a little bit of a mystery there. But my friend, thank you so much for your time. We got to get out of here, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 AM. Streaming video-wise every single day on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. This is such a classic. Sorry, if you're not listening to us on the radio, you don't hear the fantastic music that Sparky chooses every single day. And old school Green Day still hits.
It's the only Green Day
I can't listen anything past American Idiot. I'm like,
I think after Dookie, I was done.
See, that's what JR says too.
Yeah,
I love the Dookie album, but I'll give American Idiot a little bit. That one was at least fun to listen to. There's a handful of songs on that one that you can actually vibe with.
And today you'll only have the first hour of the Greg Kerr Show, as we'll get into Game 3 of the Mariners and Tigers with the first pitch at 1:08, followed by the Blue Jays and Yankees at 5 o'clock. Do you think the Blue Jays wrap it up?
Yeah,
you think so?
Yankees getting swept tonight.
I don't think so.
I feel it just about as much as I feel my Phils are getting swept on Wednesday.
You think so?
I'm done, man. Dude, you have no idea. And again, I know every Dodger fan is laughing and they're, trying to laugh in my face right now. Here's the thing. I'm one of those fans that I don't talk during a game. I don't. If you come to me saying, "Oh, you're blah, blah, blah," I won't talk to you.
I'm the same way.
I don't like that. That's annoying. Nobody, I'm telling you right now, if you're a fan listening to me right now, there's not a single person that likes that you go do that to them.
I don't even pick up my phone during the games.
No, we're all watching the same thing. We know. Thank you. But again, the consistent badgering I get from Dodger fans after games, after wins, I'm so done. Don't get me wrong, I will never fully give up on my squad, but after watching yesterday, we're done. We're done. No fight, no real pride in the game at all. It's done. It's over. Blake Snell made all of you look stupid, and you all happily just did it. We barely got a hit, I believe, 5 innings through the game. And I was the first to tell you guys yesterday, Blake Snell is a stud. He is a stud on the mound. I knew this was going to happen. And I knew it was going to be a pitcher's duel throughout. But ultimately, right now, Philly doesn't have their best pitcher. They don't have their best reliever. And right now, we don't even have our best hitters. Kyle Schwarber has yet to get a hit throughout this entire series. Turner and Harper have hit 1 hit apiece. Bomer has hit maybe 1.5. We're done. We're done. Half of our team didn't show up, and it's just over. So now everybody's going to have to deal with most likely the Dodgers winning another World Series, and we're all going to have to hear LA fans for the next year.
No. That is not going to happen.
I sure hope you're right, my friend. I hope the Brewers or the Seattle Mariners can knock them out. I genuinely do. But those are the only 2 teams I'm cheering for right now. Because I'm done. I'm done. I'm not even going to watch Game 3. I'm being dead serious.
I don't think it's over. But personally, I don't count it out until it's over. But I personally don't think the Yankees are done. I think the Yankees will pull out one more, and they'll probably take it, or they'll probably lose it in 4. I just think these series are going to be a little closer than 3 sweeps, and the Mariners fighting with the Tigers for 5 games, which I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll find out. I think the Mariners have to pull this game off tonight or this afternoon. Well, I'll be listening right here on ESPN, but if anybody was going to get swept, it will be the Yankees because they just look outplayed. But
getting demolished by double digits doesn't look good for you, regardless of where you're playing. And to be honest with you, I just think they're done. I think that you look at what you see in the dugout during the game, especially being down 11-0. I know it's not exactly easy to be happy about that, but it's like you just said, Spark, like you're a defeated team at some point, and the Yankees have just been embarrassed. And I just think Toronto is very well built to beat them. We're all talking about the Yankees when the year began because they brought in another MVP and Cody Bellinger. And really, when you looked at their lineup, they were really starting to get like the Dodgers, where the front end of it was just loaded. And you thought for sure they were going to walk through everybody. Toronto has silently just stayed consistent. They've stayed building around Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and a lot of these young pieces they got years ago, and they've become successful because of it. Even picking up Shane Bieber from Cleveland at one point ended up working out in their favor. And it really has just been built that way. I think Toronto kind of took everything into account and said, you know what? If we went about this in a smart way, we play them enough as it is, we're the perfect team to take them out in the playoffs. Now, can Toronto continue this and do it against a team like Detroit or Seattle? We'll see. That's going to be the big test because I think both Seattle and Detroit have better pitching cores than the Yankees do. And if either of those pitching cores, especially Tarek Skubal, if you go against the Tigers somehow, some way, and you got Skubal on the mound, ain't no way Toronto's getting the hits they're used to getting. But again, we're going to see how this goes. Game 3 for both of these series will be tonight, as Sparky just said. I'm excited more for your Seattle game than I am for the Yankee game. But what do you expect to see out of your Mariners tonight?
I think they're going to put up a lot of runs today. I think their batters are starting to heat up, and I think it just, after a couple days off, like we talked about with the teams with buys, I think it's just going to take them, a game. I saw them starting to light it up towards the second half of the second game, and I think just putting this team together, I think the Mariners play today. I think that it'll be a bigger win hopefully today. If we go down 2-1, I'm going to be nervous.
We'll see. Undefeated in Detroit this year, as I stated yesterday.
They're a hell of a road team.
That's a positive move for you guys. Is this a must win though?
I personally think so.
Do you think it's if you don't win this, you guys might be in trouble of losing the whole dang thing?
I'll be nervous. Yeah. I think the game 3 taking the lead into the series and then, going back a little more comfortable in game 4. I personally think the Mariners take it in 4, but that's just me as a Mariners fan. I think the Yankees are backed into a corner. I think they'll come out and have a better game today, but I think that series is over too. See, and I also think the Phillies will get a game out of this.
I won't deny we may win game 3, but we're not winning this series. It's over. It's done. So it's like I'm just not even going to pay attention to it anymore. In terms of the Toronto and Yankee game, I think Toronto would be. Personally, I think it would be a little genius if you bury Bonds to Aaron Judge in this last game. Don't even let him swing a bat. Walk his butt every single time. Because that is the guy that I am most worried about blowing this series open, right? Anybody else, I'll take the gamble. Stanton, I'll take the gamble. Cody, Goldie, Grisham, take the gamble. If they beat us, oh well, we lost a game, is what it is. But from here on out in this series, Aaron Judge doesn't get that bat off his dang shoulder. I'm throwing nothing but balls to this dude. And if he's able to, golf one or launch at one that's ridiculously high, then that's just Aaron Judge baseball.
Happy Gilmore.
But I heard Charlie Sheen bring it up on Rich Eisen's show the other day, believe it or not. And I was just sitting there thinking, oh my God, he's right. He was really talking about Shohei. But I'm sitting there thinking, why don't they bury Bonds, these guys? Why, especially in playoff games like this that are pivotal games, take his butt out of the equation. Walk him. That's baseball. That's part of it. So I would not be surprised if the Toronto pitching pitched around Judge, and I mean around Judge. I mean, you may not even see him attempt to swing a bat unless he's swinging at something completely outside the zone, which has happened multiple times in this series. But at this point,
we'll wrap up this segment, wrap up the show. We'll preview the games today. Plus, we'll preview tomorrow's show. I know we've got the BC guys. Yep. I know we've got German coming in, the local 559 fighter champ. He'll bring in his belt. We'll talk about that and much more right after this break.
Welcome back. This is Early Bird Special, final segment of the day here on ESPN Bakersfield. Once again, you can follow and watch us every single day on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all that type of good stuff. There's plenty more to talk about in the world of sports. I mean, shoot, Cardinals coach Jonathan Gannon has apologized to his running back for his outbursts on the sideline. We'll get to that in a second as well. But do we have a caller right here? Who we got?
Daily Dave.
Mr. Dave, how are you, sir?
Hey, great segment on the wrestling. But man, the football last night, the baseball yesterday, I had to walk away when Coach put in.
I know a lot of Dodger fans that did, Dave. You're not exactly alone in that one. But again,
oh my God, what are you doing? You
giving us false hope. That's what he was doing, Dave. He was giving the Phillies false hope. That's what he was doing. So,
hey, greatest play yesterday though was Mookie making that tag.
You know, I agree. That was a great play by him, and it was a bang play. I thought for sure that they were going to sneak him in there, but at the same time, I don't know why Castellanos is trying to take third on that play at all. You really should have just stayed and waited for them to naturally move you across. But again, Philly's trying to do what they got to do to get a run on the board at the time, and I have to agree with you 100%. Mookie making that tag at third, falling over him, and still holding onto the ball. That was impressive. Yeah. That was very impressive.
The one that hurt my feelings a little bit was when Teoscar tried to turn a single into a double.
You know, and he almost beat it. I was saying during the game, I was standing there next to Ralph Bailey, a host on our sister station, as you know very well. And we were talking about it, and we both brought up the same point. I don't understand why these baseball players don't tag guys in the hand or the foot. They usually go for the arm or the shin, and it doesn't make sense to me. I was always taught while playing baseball, you grab that ball and you place it right in front of the bag as if your hand is going to be touching the bottom of their cleat.
Let them slide into the tag.
Exactly.
Absolutely right.
And I've never understood why professionals don't do that. I get you want to avoid hand injuries and whatnot on the glove side, but you could easily tap him right on top of the foot and be completely, I mean, you get the out right then and there. I've never understood why they aim for the shin.
You made a great point about pitching around people. They didn't pitch around Ohtani. He got the game-winning hit.
Yep. And
I think Aaron Judge is ready to come loose. They would be smart to pitch around him, and they could probably just close out the series. But great job today on the all the sports subjects. And I can't believe that game last night, that football game. And I've liked that kid, that tall, blonde-headed kid.
Trevor. Again, I like Trevor. There's nothing wrong with Trevor Lawrence, but every time I watch him this year, I'm saying this kid's either stalemating or regressing. I can't tell which one it is. I really can't.
It's hard to read. It's hard to read, but that was a huge win. And, just the excitement of not knowing what's going to happen and what could possibly happen at the end was a great win for that football team last night. Great win for my Dodgers. And but nothing's in the bag until you're popping the champagne. So
I'm glad to hear you say that, because me as a Phillies fan, I'm saying it's in the bag for y'all. Y'all win. It's okay. We'll move on, and hopefully we'll make something happen next year. But Dave, thank you for listening, my friend. We really appreciate it.
Have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good day, sir. Let's talk real quick. Well, the minute and a half we have left, we didn't get to this game yesterday just because we ran out of time, but the Tennessee Titans able to pull off their first win of the season over the weekend, 22-21 in a wild fashion against the Arizona Cardinals. That included the Arizona Cardinals fumbling 2 balls, one for a touchdown for Tennessee and one that would have been a touchdown for them. Jonathan Gannon, coach of the Cardinals, has since apologized to running back Emiri Demercado, the third-string running back, for his 72-yard blunder. But to be honest with you, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow a little bit. I'm sure Sparky's got his thoughts, but are y'all just as sick of this as me, seeing football players in general, but professional football players drop the ball right before a touchdown? I thought the whole point was to run it in the end zone. It's wild. Wild to think about. We got to get out of here, though. Thank you so much for listening, as you always do. Join us back here 7 to 9 in the morning, as always. But until then, we're getting out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Enjoy some playoff baseball later on today. Sparky, let's get out of here.